And you ready to get started?
Yep, and I hit record. I think it should be recording.
Okay, let me get that. And if you guys have questions, at least during my part of it, you're welcome to interrupt and ask, or if you want to post in the chat, we'll both be watching.
Yeah, and Scott might be
So,
helping in the chat too today since he had all of his prep work yesterday at Snorkel Day.
so here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right, are we seeing it?
Yep, we see hello miners.
Awesome. So we're starting out in a very dark place in this world of generative AI, and we want to get some light on this thing and light it up. So welcome to Prompt Crafting. I'm Bobby Grenier, and my co-host here is Stephanie Howell, and I'm going to be presenting some Adobe Express, and Stephanie is going to be presenting some School AI goodies. So um, let me. So we're going to move on to, I get my mouse over there. There we go. We're going to move on to our learning intention today. We're learning the art of prompt crafting for the creation of some which one doesn't belong math images. And I've got a few other little goodies in my back pocket here. And our essential question today is how can we ethically use AI with our students so that they learn to use it as a thought partner and an educational resource? And we're gonna, I want to invite you to join me on a journey into the world of generative AI as we explore together. What we need to find is the generative cave of possibilities. So to do that, you're going to need to put on a hard hat, get ready to go into the cave. Here we go. So with Adobe Express, it really doesn't take long to discover that cave of possibilities because Adobe Express has so many Gen AI options that I want to go inside and take a look. So at the end of this, you are going to get this slide deck. So I want to make sure that you know that. And you're going to have some links inside the slide deck that you're going to want to tap into. One of them is this master lesson plan. And so I'm using this master lesson plan for the Adobe Express components. Stephanie's also using this master lesson plan for her School AI components. So if you click the link, you're going to get a copy of it. It originally started with the California Teachers Together group, and then we took it and we extended it to make it like the ultimate master lesson plan. So just having a deeper look inside this generative AI world, this slide here, I'm going to give you a presentation to what I call AI citations. Now, the idea behind this is teaching your students how to um, use AI in a way that is fully transparent so that yeah, they're citing their sources appropriately. So your projects, you'll see your projects become about the overall project and not just necessarily the essay that happens at the end. This is kind of a way to deal with some of those cheating issues. So that is a link you're going to want to click. And also I'm going to give you access to my contrarian It made the greatest hits for School AI. I'm very proud of that. The contrarian does not give your students the answer to the questions they ask. It prompts them to go deeper. When you get this slide deck of our overall presentation, I got all kinds of links for you in the speaker's notes. So next up is Stephanie. And let me
I'm gonna,
stop sharing.
perfect. And I'm going to share my screen. How is everyone today? Let us know in the chat how you're doing. Um, all right, so we are going to be exploring how we're able to use this lesson plan and provide really good components of the lesson plan. And then we're going to engage with Dot so that we're able to have AI kind of support us with 80%. And then we're going to use 20% of our brain and our collaboration to kind of support and make that lesson ours. Then we're going to go and talk about how we can empower our students in creating some school AI spaces. And so when it comes to the lesson plan template, I would love to know in the chat, what components do you think make a really good lesson? Do you think it's the hook? Like when you're trying to hook your students, getting them engaged in the content? Is it the formative assessment piece that you really enjoy of kind of testing your students' knowledge, seeing where are they at in their learning? Maybe your favorite part is supporting students with the deep dive, like where they're digging deep into the content and really kind of engaging more in different maybe DOK levels or Bloom's taxonomy. So again, I would just be curious, what is your favorite part of like the lesson planning? All right, so Scott is like, yeah, keeping them digging, getting them kind of excited, right? The engagement part is what Stephanie says, especially when it comes to high school math. Yeah, that's a hard subject, Stephanie. The hook, the spark. Oh my gosh, I love it. So my favorite part is that hook as well. I love just creating that hook for students to get excited about what we're learning about. So again, the template is linked. I believe it was on slide number 7, and I put the link to the slides in the chat if you need them. And let's go ahead and kind of review how we might kind of take our lesson plan here and take this into School AI so we're able to brainstorm and kind of take our lesson ideas to support our thinking. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm first just going to go over to slide 7, which is right here. And I'm going to grab the master lesson plan. Okay. And the reason I really like grabbing this master lesson plan is because California has already taken the great components, such as like EL scaffolds. There's times where I kind of forget to leave those out, which is not a good thing, right? Or because I got pulled to meet with a parent 10 minutes before I was supposed to teach a lesson or really finish my planning. This allows me to make sure that I have all of those great components for my lesson plan, such as like assessment, making sure that my students have that formative and summative piece. That hook, it has different activities so they can dive and dig deeper, just like Scott enjoys to use in his own classroom. So here's that lesson plan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and file and I'm going to download this as a PDF. You can also save this to your Google Drive. The reason I'm going to save this as a PDF because I can never find anything in my Google Drive. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like the hot mess. So here I am in School AI. There is 2 versions right now of School AI. There's a 1.0 and a 2.0. So if you don't see Dot when you log into School AI, you're able to come up here where it says unlock early access. And this is where you'll see the new version of School AI. So again, there's kind of like 2 different environments right now. So this is 1.0. If you have this screen, if you click this blue icon, this will take you into 2.0. And we're greeted by Dot. So this little circle is Dot. And what I'm able to do with Dot is I'm able to say, okay, Dot, I need help brainstorming this lesson. And I love using Dot to help me brainstorm my lessons because it's going to have kind of that educational background where I'm able to kind of share acronyms and it's going to kind of know exactly what I mean when I say EL or IEP. And so here we are with Dot. and I can click on this little file piece right here. And I'm able to upload a file. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that file. And again, you could go right to your Google Drive, or you can search that document. Right there's my lesson plan generator, and you can attach that file. So that way Dot knows, okay, this is the outline that I want. These are the components that I want to support my lesson when I am trying to teach an engaging lesson and trying to support my students. And so it's going to go ahead and attach that file. And once it attaches that file, then we're ready to think about, okay, what is it that we want to teach? So in the chat, let me know, like, what is a struggle for you when it comes to teaching? Like, what lesson are you like, I need AI to kind of support me, to help me think of some ways to spark my units when it comes to that high school math, or maybe when it comes to fifth grade social studies. What are some of those lessons that you're just like, oh, I really could use some AI revamping or remodeling to support my students in that learning. Yeah, media literacy. I love it. Okay. So we are going to, since we're mining, I think we're going to talk about the gold rush today. So I've got this information right here, just so you don't have to watch me type out and have all of my spelling errors. I've got all of my standards right here. I also have my grade level, the time, the social studies, discovering California Gold Rush. So I just want to tell kind of Dot a couple of information about what I'm teaching. And then you can also use the paperclip to attach standards as well, or you can type them in just like I did. I already had them on a document. I just can type them over, or again, I can attach those standards. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and let's see what Dot does. Okay, so Dot is thinking. And what I love about this activity is I can kind of use Dot to have a conversation and support. So now it's ready for me to add in some of my thoughts, my ideas, right? And so I can say, okay, I want you to use the PDF and create the lesson plan and help me brainstorm ideas. And what Dot's going to do is it's going to kind of take that information and it's going to process kind of what I've said. Now, one thing is the more input that you put into your prompt, the more that you provide those standards, the more that you share about your class or your teaching style, the better output you are going to get. Okay, so again, that can be either upfront or kind of through conversation is now where I'm able to come in and say like, oh, I did not like what you said here, Dot, or I don't have those supplies of visual aids or whatever it is, right? I can be like, oh, I don't have that activity actually. And so then once we have that really great lesson plan and we've kind of prompted Dot with our standards and our activities, now what we have is this lesson overview and objectives, okay? So it took our template, so it took that template right here, and it was able to have that outcome with that content goals, the language goals, the EL scaffolds, the UDL strategies to support this lesson and to remind me that, yes, add multimedia to support students when we're teaching them about the gold rush. Okay. Also, it gives me this outline where, okay, I can come in here and I can look to see what the introduction is, right? Introduce it with the gold rush and include multimedia presentation. And I can be like, let's hook my students a little bit more, right? So I can come in here and I'm able to kind of tell Dot, come up with 5 different hook ideas for this lesson. And I'm like that person that likes the overness of resources. I'm like the oversharer type of person. And so because of that, I usually am like, Dot, give me 5, and then I pick one, or give me 10, or give me 10 more, right? And so here we go. We've got a mystery box idea where students find a mystery box filled with gold coins, a map, and a letter. And maybe they're trying to guess what we're about to learn. I like to use prediction a lot when I'm teaching. Maybe use a video clip. Maybe you use the diary entry, right? So there's all of these options that Dot can use to support your learning and your students' learning in the classroom. And what I also love over here is I can kind of take these ideas and be like, oh, activity number 2, the Gold Rush Challenge, that's going to be a struggle for my students. So I can have Dot, hey, come up with a different activity for activity number 2. And I'm able to kind of use that and use my students that I've built that relationship with to cater this lesson to support their needs. Or maybe I want to add choice. Give me 3 different options so I can make a choice board for my students. Okay, so this is how I'm able to kind of create that lesson and then use Dot to support me with those lesson ideas. I don't know about you, but I am this mystery box kind of person. I like adding mystery and making my students wonder what they're going to be learning about. So Dot knew that number 1 was for sure my love language right there, where I'm going to maybe have that mystery box and I'm going to be able to say, okay, guys, look what I found today. What do you think we're going to be learning about, right? And just getting them really excited about what they're going to learn. In this activity, we might also want to put our students into a school AI space. And so when we think about spaces, this is where students are able to have that conversation with school AI, and they're able to have a conversation with Dot, right? And they're able to have their information and activity scaffold based on how they are responding. And so what I like to do is I like to use MySpace. Again, we're in the new 2.0 platform. And with MySpace, this is where I can brainstorm my ideas for this lesson. I can come in and say, okay, what is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to kind of use for my teaching lessons? And I'm that kind of person that will come in and I will kind of mix my lessons with different type of activities. So I'm going to share this example up here, where this is in anticipation station. So just like that mystery box, what I like to do is I like to use Dot to help me with boxes 1 and 2. My students aren't in School AI for 1 and 2, but I was as their teacher. And so for 1 and 2, for this activity where they're learning about the ecosystem, students are deciding, do they agree or disagree with these different topics? And then they have to state why. They haven't learned the information yet. They're making predictions. Then students are going to get a picture and they're going to work with a group. What kind of ecosystem is this? They're getting introduced to the vocabulary. They're getting introduced to different ecosystems, and they're kind of think, what happens if this was threatened, right? Then this last activity is where my students are in Dot. So this is how I use Dot in my space to help me create lessons. I use it kind of here. And then I'm able to kind of blend this lesson to where my students are able to join this space and they're able to learn all about different ecosystems by having a conversation, sharing their thoughts and ideas. And so when I'm in my School AI, there's this Discover. This is a library of a bunch of resources. And right here where it says create a space, this is where you're able to create your student spaces. So just like my ecosystem example, this is where your students are in the space learning right alongside Dot, and they're able to kind of ask questions if they don't know a vocabulary word. And it's using a lot of reflection and metacognition to support students' learning. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick. Are there any questions? Okay. And so again, I click on create a space and I tell Dot what I want to create. So maybe I want to create a bell ringer to see how my students' summer vacation was. Okay, so again, I can choose whatever topic I want to choose, and I can work with Dot, and it might ask me some additional questions. You can say if you want an exit ticket, bell ringer, if you want it to be where they're diving into research. You can see here, are there certain learning objectives? Do you want this to be a discussion, writing? What kind of details? So you're able to prompt Dot to really support your students and how you want this to be. So again, I'm going to just say this is just for fun and to build relationships. with my students. Okay, Dot's again gonna think. And then once I get through these questions, I'm able to create this agenda piece where my students are going to be able to now go through different activities and they're going to have power-ups as well. Okay. So the 1.0 version was just a chat space where you were chatting back and forth with Dot. Now there are power-ups. So I'm going to say, let's create the agenda. And now what Dot's able to do is he's going to come in and he's going to be able to create an agenda where our students are going to be able, it's probably like, Stephanie, you need to tell me more information. And with my agenda, I can have those power-ups where my students can use a doodle board to draw their thoughts and ideas, where before it was more of just like their learning being shown through conversation, but now there's multimedia supports that they're able to draw or use a mind map to add their ideas onto this activity. So many ideas, and I would love for you to try out a space as well. So I'm gonna turn it over to Bobby real quick so she can talk about her prompt library. Or I think this was yours, right?
Yeah. Do you want to stop sharing and then I'll share mine?
Yeah. Let me find the button. There we go.
Okay. Here we go. And I'm back. All right. So, oh gosh, now I don't see the chat. Stephanie, could you drop the link for slide 16 into the chat for me?
I'll do that.
And what that link will take you to is the School AI Space Prompt Library. And I was just in there just for a second while Stephanie was talking. And I noticed like maybe a few things had changed, but overall, this is a pretty cool resource to help with your design learning. So want you guys to have that. And let me get over here. Moving on. So we're going to dive deep into this generative AI cave of little goodies inside Adobe Express. There's so many generative AI features, but today I'm going to focus on just the text to image. So if you wanted to do something along with us, you're welcome to. You would need the URL. It's new.express.adobe.com. And there, I've got it for you on this slide at the top if you want to go along with me. But you don't have to. I've got everything in the slide deck for you. But Gen AI is made easy for everyone with Adobe Express because it works both on mobile devices, it works on your desktop. You could do your projects and then they will automatically sync to the cloud. So every time you open the app, no matter what device you're on, you can access what you've created because it remembers all your latest edits. So one thing I want to show you is that image on the far right there. Is just a piece of when you're looking at the Adobe Express page. But when you're doing the generate image, the text to image, it asks you to describe what you would like to see in the prompt. For here, I put in female minor with short blonde hair and smiling. And I want to show you like all of these graphics that are in our presentation today were generated except for the bit.ly were generated with Adobe Express using terms like that and maybe just tweaking it a little bit in terms of the prompt crafting. You want to show your students that words matter, vocabulary matters, language matters, and it matters more now than ever because of generative AI. And show them how if they tweak things a little bit or use a different word, they're going to get different results. So let me move on to the next slide here. And what I want to show you is that I put in Pixar style 3D animated cartoon. In parentheses, I put female. So like if you had a student who was male, he could put in that, or they could put in robot or whatever, vocabulary word. I wanted short blonde hair. And I've had to even try things like short spiky or short choppy, that kind of stuff. But in the parentheses are the descriptive words. So when you're teaching the kids about prompt crafting, you could provide the basic prompt. It's like a sentence starter in a way. And in fact, I think in my classroom this year, I'm going to create a wall instead of like a word wall. I'm going to create a prompt wall that has all of these prompt starters that they can use and see how that goes. You might try something like that. I know that in the future, I'm under NDA right now, but in the very near future, Adobe Express is going to bring some resources to you that will help with prompts in a way that's going to blow your mind. So coming back here now, the cartoon image that's on the bottom left there was created with Adobe Express, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a Pixar style um, cartoon, but you can't say Pixar style because it's Pixar would sue them, right? So what you have to do is use the words 3D animated cartoon, and Adobe Express knows what you want. So my first when you're on this slide, um can you guys if I get it back there, can you see my mouse? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can see your mouse.
Perfect. So I put in 3D animated cartoon female with short blonde hair, but they've added a new feature and it's up here. It's the reference images. And there's one component that's style and the other that's composition. So I stuck a picture of myself in the composition because I was trying to get a cartoon that looked more like me. And I wanted to see what it would do. So I put that in composition. It's on art, it's on popular, and I hit generate. And what I got was this. So I'm not quite Pixar. I'm somewhere between Pixar and anime. It wasn't really what I wanted. What I wanted was this cartoon image over here. So then I said, okay, I don't want that. I took myself out and or actually what I did was I hit generate more to see what it would do. And it basically gave me the same things over. So moving on to the next slide. On this one, I took myself out and it gave me cartoons again. And one thing I want to point out is that Adobe Express has a little bit of memory, if you will. It's remembering, because if you look at those cartoons, they don't look like the cartoon that it first generated, like this one up here. It still looks a little more real. So it's remembering that I had put in my picture. So what you have to do if you really want to go back to like, I just want something really cartoony, you have to close that session and open a new session and start over. Because once you start a session, it kind of remembers that. And so then I tried, okay, let me see if I put in style. I'm going to give it the cartoon. I'm going to give it my image as the composition. What do I get? Whoopsie. Hang on. There we go. What do I get? And I got something that still looks more real, a little bit less cartoon. Maybe this one here looks more cartoony. So I'm still not happy because I want this, but I'm looking for it to like catch my hair coloring and maybe my glasses and things like that. Still not doing exactly what I want. It's got my glasses here though in the imagery, so we're getting a little closer. So I said, okay, let me scrap that. Let me move the cartoon over to composition, not give it any style. What do I get now? And I basically got Cameron Diaz. I do not look like Cameron Diaz. So, but the cartoon does. So it did take a look at the cartoon and generate that. So then I said, all right, I'm going to put my picture into the style and leave the cartoon in composition. What do I get? All right, I'm getting something again that looks a little more real, a little bit less cartoony, and it is capturing the fact that I'm older than what this cartoon image is. So now I've got an older person and nobody likes to look older. So I scrapped that and I went back to the composition, dropped my picture out, and it basically went back and gave me the same thing that it did over here. So it does have that memory, and you can see that here. Next thing I tried was I completely decided to mess with it. And I gave it the cartoon image in the style, and I put a baby goat into the composition, and I got something really cool. Now, this would excite me if I was a student to get something like this is a true cartoon character. All right, the hands are a little bit funky because it was trying to imitate the leg. But look what I got. I got something really unique and original, and I'm super happy with this one. And I just decided one more time I'd switch the images and see what I got. And I got the coloring of the goat, but I got my cartoon character. So on both of these, I got my cartoon character. So what I wanted you to know is that Adobe is developing, like they're listening to us and they are developing easier ways for our students and us to get what we want out of Adobe Express. All right, let me hop over to this next slide. Any questions so far? All right. Well, I promised you a little bit of math for, as we're digging deeper, but what I really wanted to show you is like which one doesn't belong. And it is possible. Let me advance the slide deck here. It is possible to create some which one doesn't belong imagery. Your students can do this for you. I've got the directions here in the slide deck, but what you're really going for are the four images that they look so similar, but they're different in some way. So the prompt was to create a photorealistic cartoon image of four different eager-eyed young students where any combination of three of them have at least one thing in common. So that's a lot of wording in a prompt, but you want to show this to your students. And I have some examples for you where you can use my prompt template and have the students tweak it a little bit to get what they want. So here you go. Create a photorealistic. So you could change that to 3D cartoon instead of photorealistic. Image of four different, could be flowers, could be anything you want, where any combination of the three of them have at least one thing in common. And this is what it created. Now, it's not going to create this perfectly every single time. You're going to have to, have the students take a look. Make sure that at least in one instance, there are three images that they can find something in common. And there may be more examples of things in common, so it may vary, which is what you want in a one of these exercises. So the kids could create this on their own. Let me show you some more examples. Here's more flowers. So you as the teacher would prompt them with, what do you notice? So it gets them looking at things and then they can talk about it. And you can, have that student voice and collaboration moment. Ask them what they wonder. So you're kind of using the scientific methodology. So which one doesn't belong? And they've really got to look at it. Why? Why doesn't it belong? And have them converse with each other and then share out to the class. All right. So you can have your students create which one doesn't belong, and you could use these like for beginning of class lesson or beginning of math just to get things rolling. And your students would have done all the work. That means the kids are going to buy into what you're doing because they're getting to share what they created with the class, and you can have a different one for every day if you wanted to. You don't have to do all the heavy lifting. The kids will do it for you. So let me catch up here on um my notes.
And while you're doing that, there
Go.
was a question in the chat. How did you get our images? What did you prompt for like the image that's right there on the screen of you?
Of me.
Yep.
So these were that one that I'd started with in the very beginning of a 3D cartoon animated image of a female miner with short blonde hair. And I got lots of images and I decided like which ones I really liked. And then when I did like say the one of you and I gave a description of like both of us in general just to let Adobe Express do the creating. And if you don't like what it gives you, then you could tweak your wording a little bit to get something that's closer to you. And so it gave me lots of images that I like. Whether this is looks exactly like me or not isn't as important. The kids are gonna like say, "Oh, there she is. There's our teacher." But in reality, probably that doesn't look a whole lot like me. It looks a bit like me, but it's enough, to get the kids going, right? And to get them excited about what you're doing. So the students will find the gems, and all you have to do is help them. Let me show you. You just have to get them going, and they'll take over. So I'm not a big fan of clowns, but here we go. So I used the same prompt and put in that I wanted different clowns, and here's what I got. This was a hard one. I had to try several times with the prompt and getting Adobe Express to give me several examples until I really found something where I could say, all right, we could really use this for this activity. So the first time it might not work, but if it's not working for you the second or third time, maybe you want to go after a different image. But oh, whoops, let me back up. Nope, it's not gonna let me back up. It's doing that again. Hang on a second, I gotta pop out and back up to this one. All right. What I wanted to show you was this one. I was prompting for dogs. And I tried just giving it puppies. I asked it to create a photorealistic image of four different puppies. And I basically got this same thing. And then I put in, give me four different breeds of puppies. And it really doesn't look like four different breeds of puppies. So what I'm showing you is that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I would have liked four really distinct breeds. So it remembers what I asked for in the beginning. And so for me to get those four different breeds, I probably have to pop out of this completely and do a new session where I put in the prompt again to see if I can get what I want. Um, I did it asking for yarn and just see what I would get. Not a lot of difference in them, but they do kids could look at that and come up with reasons why one doesn't belong as compared to the others. Um, and then I tried it with Christmas ornaments, and that one worked really well. And my suggestion to y'all would be that when you try this, try it with donuts. Donuts are very fun. So, any questions so far? All right. Where I'm going to go is to this. It's another link. Stephanie, if you want to grab that link and drop it into the chat, I would appreciate you more than I already do. But Adobe Express has created a prompt library, so we don't have to do this ourselves. It's going to run you through like all kinds of different prompts and show you. In fact, you could use this with your students. It will show them what the results are going to probably look like if they use a certain type of prompt. So I would highly recommend, like when you're teaching Adobe Express in your classroom and showing your kids how to do all these things, give them access to the prompt library and let them try different things. Um, so start with your pedagogy. Make the thinking visible. Go for student voice as much as you can where they're collaborating and have them share their work out. And you could use this same activity to do this or that. Um, or you could have the students create like which one would you rather, where they create the images. And so it's like that same activity. And you could this could be for math, could be for ELA, social studies, science. Anyhow, here's the bit.ly to the if you still need it, to the slides. If you joined us a little bit late, you might want that. And then let me see.
I also
Uh
added a School AI link in there if you want to reflect. This is a
cool.
really great thinking routine from Project Zero, which is based out of Harvard, and it's sentence, phrase, word. So I want to know what sentence would you use to describe what you learned today? Then you're going to take it to a phrase, and then you're going to make it just one word. So you're going to start with a sentence, and then you're going to pick a few words from that sentence and make it a phrase, and then one word. So I'd love to just kind of reflect for a moment, and then we'll head to our next session, right, Bobby?
Yeah, so you guys have access to this. Um, I've got a bunch of links in here for you in the slide deck, and now you're on your own. You can reach out to us if you have any questions or need help with anything. We're available. And let me stop sharing. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Pop any questions into the chat if you have any. We'll stick around for you.
And I like this. I learned that prompting matters greatly when considering what to ask AI to do. So that's coming in from the reflection. So awesome. It's like I can share my screen. This is mission control if you're still on. And this is how I'm able to see how you're responding to those takeaways, what you took away. And we kind of started out with like that big sentence, and then you're going to move into a few words until we get down to exactly one word. And I can see how my students are doing on this activity to let me know if I need to reteach or go into more detail about something.
I
Awesome.
love school AI.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. If you have questions, we're here to help. Let us know how we can support you.
So there's a question in the chat. So would it work to ask AI to tweak a picture, such as keep the image, just fix the cross eye? Um, they're not quite at that level yet, to be honest with you. Adobe Express. So you would probably I would download that picture, use it in the same way that I did in my examples, where you put it into, one of those boxes, and but tell it, maybe I would ask it for like use the same prompt with the picture, and maybe try saying, describe the eyes or whatever so that it adjusts. You could try that. Basically, you're gonna have to fudge that a little bit. Any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right, you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.